Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another review. This is another paid request, and this is for Brooklyn. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, wherever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box down below. But Brooklyn wanted me to talk about Perfect Blue, a 1997 film, which is anime. Now, Perfect Blue, I think I saw this years ago. Because I'm watching, I'm like, this seems familiar. But I looked on my channel, I didn't find a review, so I don't know if it's a film I reviewed in the past and I deleted it, or something else, or I just watched it randomly. But the thing with this anime, it plays off more of a psychological horror. Because, of course, with the style of anime, it's usually very over the top in terms of action, monsters, supernatural, or something extraordinary. So the fact that you're doing this psychological horror that you honestly could do live action, in fact, some people may think it would work better live action, but you do it in an anime style, I think caught people a bit off guard back in the day. And I would say watching it, it was there. I'm not going to sit here and say I loved it like a lot of people. I'm not a big anime guy. I liked Akira. I liked Ninja Scroll. There's a few others, perhaps, maybe bits of Wicked City on others, but I'm not like a huge anime guy. And while I don't mind the animation in this, although there's times that they cheaped out, like there's a crowd shot where it's supposed to be a bunch of people there, but if you look at the crowd shot, like all the faces, there's no eyes or mouths. So once in a while they cheap out, but for the most part, for its time, 1997, the animation is fairly good. The story, this J-pop group, Japanese pop group, they like to sing, they're being successful, at least for a little bit, but then one of them decides to leave the group to be an actress. Her manager, she goes, oh, I don't know about this, but it's like, yeah, I want to take this leap. Meanwhile, there's this fan that stalks her. Our lead girl gets the part of this TV show. Ultimately, during the TV show, there's a bit where she has to do a rape scene, which it makes me go, what kind of fucking TV show is this that you're able to do a rape scene? I mean, maybe TV shows are different in Japan. Believe me, in America, you're not going to find many TV shows that have a rape scene, especially as performed here. At least I thought it was a TV show, because I thought it was a TV show called Double Blind. I'm sitting there like, what kind of fucking TV? Maybe it's for HBO. Or a Japan version of HBO. I don't know. I don't know if anyone is from Japan. If you watch this, let me know how TV was over there. Maybe it's for their version of HBO. I don't know. That's why I'm asking. So she does it, even though she's a bit freaked out about it. Her manager cries and leaves. And then a chunk of it is sort of this isolation. She keeps seeing a version of herself, her J-pop version, talking to her. She'll see that version of herself and she'll chase it. There's this thing on the internet called, I forget, it's like a version of her room, but then it's like a version of her doing something different from what she does. And like Diary is on this fan website that have this very personal information. And then it's, psychological horror. Am I who I am? Am I really here? What's real? What's not real? And then some people get murdered who are part of the TV show. Did she do it? Is someone else that she knows about, she's close to, does she do it? At one point she goes home and her fish are dead. So is it the obsessed fan? Is she losing her mind? It's going through all those details. I guess for me, It's a short film. Like I said, I don't mind the animation. I watched it with the subtitles, so I did not watch the dub version. I watched the version with the subtitles, so that the voices. Because I don't want to be like, oh my god, this dub sounds so awful. Because a lot of English dubs sound pretty damn awful. There's some nice visual cues like early on when the J-pop is doing their show. The stalker, he has his hand up, and the way he has his hand up, we see the point of view. He put his hand. I imagine the woman dancing. He put his hand up so it looks like she's dancing on his hand. So, like I said, there's a couple nice visual cues. I know Darren Aronofsky was a fan of this. I think he took some shots and put in Requiem for a Dream. It's funny, he did that film Black Swan, and people wondered if he ripped off this film for Black Swan, but he denied it. But I know he's a big fan of this. I think at one point he wanted to do this as a live action film, and it didn't happen. But I don't know, it's just because I've seen so many other films dealing with, is this real? Is this not real? Is this illusion? Is this not an illusion? I've seen a lot of other films like this, so it wasn't anything that mind-blowing to me. And again, when you watch an anime, well, again, I shouldn't speak because I'm not the big anime guy. Like I said, Akira I liked, Ninja Scroll I liked. I keep mentioning those two because those are the two that pop up the most to me. But there's not a whole lot here that I could not see just working in live action. And I do wonder, maybe in live action I will like this more. I don't, but at the same time, be like, okay, I've seen this type of film before. Which I know is not a valid argument because there's a lot of films I love where they're films that I've seen before. But I guess you know, it's funny. There was a film many, many, many years later called Cam, C-A-M, Cam, that this was a girl that did cam shows. She was obsessed with it, trying to get number one. And then one day she turns on the computer, she sees a version of herself doing a cam version. I said, wait a minute, that's not me. Who the hell is that? And that movie I liked more. That was a movie that I liked more. I reminded of it because here is kind of like her on the computer watching a version of herself. But that was like a more of an interesting mystery to me. This one, the mystery, I just wasn't as interesting. And when you find out what it is, you go, what? And then you try to piece back together. It's like, well, how does that work? And how does that work? And how did that come to be? To spoilers, you find out that the person that's killing a few of these people, like, kills one person with a screwdriver. And this is like confusing bit where a guy dies with a screwdriver, and then our lead has a nightmare that she's killing someone with a screwdriver, but then she wakes up, then she's on the TV set, then during the show she's supposed to kill someone with a screwdriver, but then she does, like, it's trying to be mess with your head, trying to be mind fuckery. What's real, what's not? Did she do it? Did she not do it? But you find out that her manager likes to dress up as her. Her manager made a room that looked just like her place. So when she saw herself on the computer, it was actually the manager who recreated the room as perfect as can be. But then when our lead sees the manager, he sees her as herself. But I guess she also had like a mask on, so she has some Mission Impossible stuff, so maybe that's why. Yeah, I think there's a point she tears the mask off and you see her face. It made me go, so wait a minute. Does that mean both of these characters both have a psychotic break at the same time? What do you mean? So that means our lead girl has a psychotic break because she's picturing what's real, what's not real. She's imagining this, but not imagining that. But then the manager also had a psychotic break to make herself look like our lead, and then to create this room like this. There's a moment where, I guess in retrospect, it was the manager pretending to be the girl who's like right by the stalker and saying, "Oh, these new pictures, that's not me, that's the imposter. Go kill the imposter." And that's why in the third act, like, the stalker tries to kill the imposter, but it's the real lead girl. But I'm like, wait a minute, the stalker is right next to it. Why didn't he grab her and try to fucking do stuff to her? I guess because she loved her, but this girl she thought was an imposter. I guess that's why. But then I'm like, well, wait a minute. There are times that she'll see the girl in like a public place. There's a bit that she's going to the TV station. There's people talking, and she looks over, and there's the version of herself right there. I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. No one sees this other form of her? Like, they recognize who's going, like, there's people talking, so is that part of her figment of her imagination? So does it mean, like, she sees a version of herself that's a figment of her imagination that she chases, but at the same time, there's also a manager that becomes a fake version of herself. And I didn't really get 100% why this manager became a fake version of the lead. I guess she was a former J-pop herself, and she was mad at what this girl was doing, which then made me go, why didn't you just kill her and replace her and take her place? Like, why didn't you try to kill her and just replace her? Even at the end of the film, I think in live action maybe I wouldn't be asking so many questions, which I know sounds stupid, but at the end of the film, it's different depending on which version you watch. If you watch the dub version, English dub, you won't think twice of it. Because at the end, spoiler alert, the two fight. The killer manager tries to kill herself, but then the lead saves her. Then the lead visits the manager at a mental asylum. And as she leaves, and by this point she becomes famous. I don't know, a famous singer, famous actress. I don't know if they go into details what she's famous for. And some workers go, oh, she can't be here. Why would she be here? That can't be the real. So our lead sits in the car, looks at the mirror, and goes, I am the real me. Now in the English dub, it's her voice. If you listen to the Japanese version, it's not her voice. It's the voice of the manager. So she says, I'm the real me, but her voice is the voice actress of the manager. So what is that supposed to tell us? That she thinks of herself as the manager? Like the manager thinks of herself as the J-pop singer, and the J-pop singer thinks of herself as the manager? And that's why she became a better actress? Or is that supposed to just fuck with your head and make you ask questions afterward? And I guess really for other people they were more intrigued. To me, I was more either confused or just people call it a masterpiece. I'm like, I'll go watch Jacob's Ladder from 1990 or Angel Heart or other mindfuckery movies. And maybe that's another thing. I've seen a lot of mindfuck movies, Fight Club. Other movies I just prefer more because I prefer the characters more, or I prefer the stories more, or I prefer specific music, scenes that stick with me. A lot of people say this was disturbing. Again, I've seen a lot of these mindfuck movies. Again, Jacob's Ladder, Fight Club, Session 9, even like the Machinist, which came out after this, but I had seen that before seeing this movie. Just I saw this movie many years afterward. So The Machinist with Christian Bale, that's a mindfuck movie. That's see like The Machinist I got more out of, where it's a guy that doesn't know what's real, what's not, and Christian Bale played a guy who's so thin because he hasn't slept for like a year or so. I'm like, is that possible? But I just went along with it. I didn't. I've seen other movies I just prefer more in that mindfuckery aspect. And I'm like, wow, so both of these had a psychotic break, and it just... It's not that I was mad, it's not that I hated it, it's just... I just didn't get what all the deal was, though, the hype for the film was. I did maybe if you're much more of an anime guy, and this is, like I said, different in its... compared to other anime, what it was trying to do. But to me, it's kind of been there, done that for me. I mean, I've seen other movies, I mean, even to an extent, seen the white female. We had the one trying to be the other and even dressed up as the other. I've seen other psychological horror films, whether it be Misery with Kathy Bates, which that was about an obsessed fan, in this case of Misery. But I did think because I've just seen so many other movies that delve in this material, and for me personally, I like those movies more. Here, the characters, the dialogue, the trying to be a bit confusing. There's some nice images. There's some nice visuals. I appreciate the animation for its time. I just... If I didn't, even later, like Cam. And maybe don't want to go rewatch that film Cam over this. Just wasn't my cup of tea. It's not because I think it's a bad film. Just wasn't my cup of tea. Perfect Blue. Might be for you, just not for me. So with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.